Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
And we're back on Partnership for Profits. I was just here 20 minutes ago ending another podcast, but we got another one coming at you right now. We have an amazing guest today who knows exactly what it takes to grow a business and when it's time to stop doing everything yourself. We've got the great Steve Caton here, who is the founder of, is it Altezza? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you nailed it. Great
Founder
job.
of Altezza. You help companies scale smarter by building strategies, systems, and teams that actually work. Steve, welcome to the show, my friend. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks, Will. Good to be here and looking forward to the conversation, man. This one is near and dear.
I'm excited to talk to a fellow Georgian. Most of the people I talk to are all over the country, and we were chatting before we got on the show here, and I saw the helmet over his shoulder, the G. I was like, okay, I'm talking to a fellow dog. This is great. I'm glad to have a local on with me. Yeah, we're on kind of opposite ends of the state, but still, it's not that big of a state.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we won't chase all the Bama fans off the podcast now, because we got the big game coming up this weekend. So,
well, we'll see how that goes. I think Georgia's going to do well in that game, but I don't want to offend anybody either. So, so one of the biggest questions that founders and owners face when they got a business is, when do I stop selling myself and hire my first salesperson? So that's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah.
I think most founders start out as their own salesperson in a business. So why do you think, what's valuable about that stage in the early life as a business owner, to be in that salesman seat?
Yeah, I think like you said, Will, we're kind of the chief everything officer, right? When we first start the company, and we're doing it all. And I do think there's a ton of value in that, in sales and other areas too, because, we honestly, how can you know for sure whether your value proposition resonates and it actually, there's a market for it, unless you are the one selling it, right?
Yeah.
If you're the one having the conversations with other business owners, or wherever your, kind of ideal client profile is, then there's nothing more rich than frontline sales conversations in terms of understanding how's the market receiving what I have to offer, right? So I think it's really pivotal that founders do that in the early stage.
Got it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I also think it helps to really, when you're in that sales seat as an owner, it really helps you to understand what it is that you're selling.
Yes.
One of the things I tell my business partner and what we do is, when we try to bring salespeople in, is like, we got to give them time, because in my opinion, to sell something, what I say is, you have to have like a master's degree level of understanding of what it is that you're selling to be able to sell it. And being in that owner seat and selling it, it's really going to help you refine, what are we doing here? And how are we helping people? So love that. I think that you're right on target there. What are when you are in that owner seat and you're selling, what are the signs that a founder or an owner should look for, and that there's time to start thinking about bringing somebody else in to take on these sales? What are we looking for? When's the time to do that?
Yeah, great question. And I think I like to categorize these in terms of, and this is right from sales terminology, so forgive me, but leading indicators and lagging indicators, right? I think there's both that are happening. And then within each of those categories, you've got sort of a looks like, feels like equation going on. So in the leading indicators, what it looks like is me as the business owner, I am more and more every day is full of multitasking. So I'm not able to focus, right? I don't really have these blocks of time in my calendar that allow me to really drill down and be strategic. I'm literally just jumping from one task to the next. And it's a lot of task switching as well. So if there's a lot of that going on, that could be a leading indicator. The other thing would be a drop in your revenue generating activity. So for instance, me and my calendar, I'm kind of geeky about it. I color code the types of meetings that I have on my calendar. So I know green is revenue generating, and, yellow is networking, and gray is admin. You get the idea. So if I start seeing when I started seeing my week fill up with a bunch of other stuff besides green, I knew, that if I'm not doing green, I'm not making money. Right. So,
right.
Yeah. So I was watching the drop in those revenue generating activities. And then the other thing that you see as a leading indicator is deals begin to stall in your sales pipeline. So if you're using a CRM, you'll see deals that will stall either early in the sales process because you're not following up after the discovery call, or they're stalling late in the process because you've kind of rushed the deal through and it got to the end and you're thinking it's going to close, but that prospect's not even close to making a decision. So it just sits in that proposal stage for weeks, right? So those are some of the leading indicators. And then what it feels like is anxiety, right? We start to feel a little anxiety and a little bit of stress because, that is leading to a loss of revenue. We're starting to see the top line revenue drop, which is one of the lagging indicators. So those would be the leading indicators. Any questions about that before I talk about the lagging indicators?
No. I want to hear about the lagging. Lay it on me.
Yeah. So the lagging indicators are going to be, again, sales momentum just sort of stalls. So what you see a lot of times is, hey, man, I had great growth and then it just plateaued. And I don't really know what's going on. Sometimes it declines, but typically, again, you're going to see a plateau before you see the decline. So when you see that plateau, there's something happening. And so you want to pay attention to that. Your sales conversion rate will begin to plummet. So if you're tracking that, and hopefully people are, if you have a CRM, you should be able to easily track what your conversion rate is from, sales qualified deals to closed deals. And when you see that conversion rate go down, or you're looking at your CRM, you're going, man, we're getting a bunch of leads in here, but we're not closing them like we used to. That's absolutely a lagging indicator that it's time to be letting go. And then top line revenue just stalls or begins to decline. So, and again, what that feels like is pressing. So if you start feeling yourself pressing to try to get deals done, and you're not just having a natural conversation with a prospect, it's just like, I got to get this closed. That would be how it feels.
So if you're too thirsty, then it's time to bring in some help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You can't sell.
That's a simple way to roll it up.
You can't sell when you're thirsty. People pick up on that super fast.
Oh my gosh.
It's like dating, right? You can't get a date if you're too if you're trying too hard. So that makes perfect sense, and we've seen that in our own business as well. I want to talk a little bit about Steve. I want to talk a little bit about your business, about Altezza and what you guys do, because we're talking about sales and we're talking about these strategies, and when's the right time to bring somebody in, what the indicators you need to be looking for. What do you guys do at Altezza to help people with that and in other avenues of business? Tell me a little bit about the business.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, Will, what we're doing is we're trying to release that founder from the sales trap, as we call it, by installing a fractional sales engine into their business. And that sales engine primarily looks like really experienced salespeople. So people who've been doing sales for a long time, who then come into that business on a part-time basis and actually take the sales process off of the founder. In order to be successful, though, a lot of times we have to get into sales strategy as well and systems. Sometimes that piece needs to be addressed before the person. So we get into that piece as well.
Cool. And that's great. Love that. I realized we started the show. I was like, I didn't ask him about the business at all. I just dove right in. Was like, let's talk sales.
Totally fine, man.
Did want to get an understanding about what you guys are doing and how you're helping people. So that's super good to know. So when you do as a owner, you get a new business that you're starting out and you're bringing in that first salesperson.
Yeah.
And they come on board. What should that first salesperson's role? What should it look like, and what should it not look like? What should the expectations be for that first? Because I think when if you have a team and you're bringing in new people that are on a team that's established, the systems are in place and you know what things should look like and how long things should take to get settled in. But when you're bringing in that first person, what should it look like and what should it not look like?
Yeah. And I mean, the question that you're asking here, Will, is one of the reasons why it is so hard to go from 0 to 1, right? Going from 1 to 5 is much easier than going from 0 to 1. The reason is because when you're bringing in that first salesperson, there's something that is inherently true about salespeople that a lot of business owners don't really fully understand. And that is that salespeople naturally want to try to calculate in their head, what is my earning potential, right? How much can I make here? And if you don't have a lot of infrastructure, sales infrastructure with all the metrics that I was kind of touching on earlier, if you don't have sales systems and processes, if your go-to-market strategy is not fully baked yet, then what's going to happen is that salesperson is going to look at that and go, yeah, I don't know what I can make here. Maybe I make a lot. Maybe I don't make anything. I think I'll move on. I'm going to go someplace where it's a little bit more predictable. So that makes it really difficult to attract the kind of salespeople that you really need. So what happens is we oftentimes just go find anyone, right? Just go find a body. Maybe it's someone who is willing to work for 100% commission. Isn't that awesome? No. So, but that's what we can get. So that's what we do. So that's really difficult. So I think the thing to look for, first of all, the first thing we always talk about is look at your kind of sales operating system first. So what exists in terms of go-to-market strategy, your clarity around your ideal client profile, your messaging, all of that needs to be intact. And then you need to have a system, a sales system, a CRM, and a sales process built so that when you go get that first salesperson, number one, you can attract someone who's going to be successful, and then they can just plug into what's already been built and then go. If they don't have those things, they're going to be spending a lot of time kind of constructing what they need and building the lifeboat, if you will, while they're trying to sell. And it just takes way longer to get to a place of ROI at that point. So yeah, I think if you can find the unicorn that can do both build and sell, good luck with that. They're out there, but yeah, they're very expensive and they're hard to find.
Yeah, I hear that, dude. We have dealt with that in our business, and you talk about building the lifeboat. We have run into, and I've seen other people run into this too, where we're a small business. And there's really two of us that are in the sales seat, one of whom is the owner of our company, and there's me. But at the same time, we would go off on tangents for weeks about, hey, we got to build our operating system. Hey, we have to have SOPs and all this stuff in place. And, and then we would always have the argument of like, well, don't we need to be selling before we build this stuff? We have to have clients to put in the lifeboat. If we have a lifeboat and there's nobody in it, what's the purpose? It's kind of, so, it's there's that question of chicken and egg. Like, I guess I need to sell, but I also need these systems in place. How do you juggle that as an owner? Like, what's in your mind? Like, what's the best way to go about that? I am of the opinion that, we got to have clients first and foremost. We don't have clients, we have a business. So why are we working on building out all these operational stuff that there's nothing to operate? That's where my head's at. What are your thoughts on that? That kind of weighing one against the other.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the first question about is it a good idea for the owner to do sales for a while? And yes, that comes back to that, because it is. Because if we're doing it as the owner, then we're going to build some of those systems and processes that we need to just support our sales activity, right? And even though those systems may not be fully mature, at least it gives us something to work with and work within. Now, the key is, when I'm building something, am I documenting it at a level that allows me to then be able to hand it off to somebody else? Because if it's just up here in our head, that's going to be really difficult. So the key is, yes, do the selling, bring in the customers, build some systems and processes that are kind of minimally viable to get you by, but document it so that when it's time to go bring someone else in, you can bring someone else in who can kind of take what you built and improve it. And hopefully you've got enough revenue that you've created as the founder that you can weather maybe the little bit of a dip that you'll have as you're making that transition, but that dip won't last long if you've got something for them to work with. And then a lot of times what we see, Will, is we'll bring in like a fractional sales leader who can come take what you built and say, okay, let's take this and make it better so that there really is something that a salesperson can step into. And then, so they can do that work in 2, 3, 4 months or something. And then boom, you plug your salesperson in and off you go.
Love it. Love it. I'm right on the same page with you there. We learned that the hard way in our business, but we kind of hit upon it. Like, yeah, sales first and foremost is you got to get clients in the door. Yeah. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Yeah.
100%. So, yeah, man, love that. I want to talk a little bit about mindset for owners when you are stepping out of that sales seat into, you're the owner and you're not selling. I mean, owners are always networking and always making connections, but and this is something I've talked about I can't tell you how many people I've talked about 2 words on this show with other people: letting go. And as the owner, getting in that mindset where it's okay to let go of this and let the right people do, whether it's sales or whether it's operations or whether it's HR or whatever it is, letting the right people do the job as opposed to you as the owner feeling like you got to have your finger in every single pie. It's
Yeah.
hard, right? It's a very hard thing to do. And what I've heard from a lot of people is we were working on helping owners let go. And so many people are helping people do that. Obviously it's a massive problem. Where are you guys? What's you guys' philosophy on that letting go side of things? Because you do have to do that when you're bringing in a salesperson. You're letting go.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think here's our experience, Will, has been it really starts with owner intent. So what is the end game for the owner when they started the company, right? So did they just start the company to build a comfortable income for themselves, a comfortable income stream, which is fine? Or are they building something that they're trying to build enterprise value for so that one day they can exit and leave a legacy for their family? If they are the second group, they know, okay, I'm never going to get there if I don't let go. Even though it's hard, I know I got to do it because we're not going to build a valuable company if it all depends on me. So that's the mindset we're kind of looking for on the front end, because if we have that mindset, even if they're still trying to figure out how to do it well, we can work with that. It's right. The ones that are like just hanging on. I got to control it. And they're just building a job. They're really not building a business.
Oh, that's a good line, Steve. They're building a job. They're not building a business. I know some people. I'm going to use that line. That's great. I love that. I need to write that down real quick. And if you're listening, you better write that down too. I seriously am legitimately writing this down right now. That's good stuff. I can't believe I've never heard anybody put it that way before. Not building a business. Bear with me. I am legitimately writing this note down.
Yeah, you man.
That's a good nugget, man. I love that. Very cool. You guys have got the philosophy's great. I love what you guys have going on. I want to shift gears a little bit because I was looking at your website before we popped on here, and I saw podcasts at the top of your website. And whenever I see that, I'm like, ooh, cool. They got a podcast too. I want to see what they got going on. So I clicked on it and I saw the name, which is fantastic. Whiskey for Closers. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing with the podcast and why you've decided to kind of go down that lane. It's what we do as a business. So it's helping businesses start podcasts to grow their business, to use it as a networking tool. So I'm just kind of curious where you guys are doing with that and what the thought process was behind starting the podcast out. And tell me about the show too, with it being called Whiskey for Closers. Is whiskey an element of the show?
You know it, man. So starting there, I mean, so our team, first of all, one of the things that is a really strong core value for us at Altezza is celebration. And I think that is it's an often overlooked value, especially in the sales world, because as salespeople, we kind of grow up in the world of what have you done for me lately? And so even though we might have a great month, it's just on to the next month or the next deal, right? Yeah. So we always try to take time to celebrate the victories, whether they be new sales or just milestones. And we do that by getting our team together on Zoom, and we toast over a glass of whiskey. We all love whiskey. Some of us love tequila. It's all good. Whatever your preference is, we basically just have a toast and enjoy kind of a virtual happy hour together to celebrate those accomplishments. So because of that core value, it kind of led to this idea of, hey, what if we have a podcast where we can invite founders into a really casual conversation about where they can share the stories, good, bad, and ugly of what it looked like to go from scrappy founder to scaling business, right? And all the scar tissue that they gathered on the way, because we know those conversations are hugely encouraging to other founders who often feel alone and don't know who to talk to and feel like they're the only ones who are having this problem. So we want to create an encouraging environment and conversation for other founders. We certainly want to focus on sales, but the last thing I wanted to do, man, is have another sales podcast. So we wanted it to just be more fun, more casual, more story oriented, and highlight really cool founders who've done some great things, and also highlight some who are still in the grind and, just have some great things to share about what they wish they'd have done differently or what's working, and do it with a great pour, because we all can use that at the end of the day, right? So that's the idea. And, the purpose of it, other than encouraging, is I've talked to a lot of people like you, Will, who've said, hey, a podcast is a really cool way to meet people. And you'll find, people who might end up being clients, and you might find people who are great partners, but you just find a lot of really cool, like-minded people. So that appealed to me as well.
How long have you been doing it?
We haven't even launched it yet. We've just started recording some episodes and putting them in the can to get ready for the launch, but it'll officially launches in October. So very soon.
Sweet. I'm going to check it out, man. I love it.
Thanks.
That's exciting. I'm glad to hear that you guys are thinking about it in those terms, as far as, it can be a sales tool, but really it's a networking tool more than anything else. And if you build an audience on top of it, that's the cherry. We tell when we work with clients, we work with a lot of lawyers in our business. We have a lot of attorneys that we work with, and we the first question we get from them is, why in the hell would anybody want to listen to a podcast about a personal injury lawyer? And we tell them, first of all, no one's listening or watching your podcast. No one's going to watch it. But you're going to meet people, and you're going to build out your network, and you're going to get better on camera. You're going to get better as a speaker. All that stuff comes from doing that podcast. So, and it sounds like you guys are kind of thinking about that in the right way. And you're thinking about it, like you said, I don't want to do just another sales podcast. 100%. That's I love that, man. That's the philosophy is great. You guys are doing it the way that we recommend that people do it, man. So that's that kudos to you.
I'm glad to do that, man.
Can't wait to check it out. We'll have to get I'd love to come on. We have to get Armando to come on too, who owns our company. He's the owner. I'm not an owner, but Armando's the owner of Leduc Entertainment, and I know you guys would love talking to him for sure. So we'll have to make that happen for sure.
Yeah, let's do that. That'd be great.
Yeah, man. That's great. Exciting stuff. Exciting to hear how you got the podcast going. Exciting to hear the stuff, the philosophies that you guys have put in place. Steve, let people know where they can get in touch with you, how they can find the company, how they can find you, how they can find the podcast when it comes out. Floor is yours. I want to let people know how they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, man. So in terms of the company, it's altezzasolutions.com, and Altezza is spelled with 2 Z's. So you can find us there. Most people like to just connect with me individually, which I love doing on LinkedIn. That's like my only social media platform that I use, and I probably should change that at some point, but LinkedIn is where I live. So you can find me easily on LinkedIn. My last name, Caton, is not common, so it's pretty easy to find me there. And then the podcast, you mentioned it on our homepage, on the Altezza homepage. There's a link to the podcast there. And we would love for if a founder's listening and going, man, I'd love to be on that kind of a podcast. We have a forum there where you can basically say, hey, let's have a conversation about that and see if it's a good fit. So yeah, thanks for calling that out.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna send some people your way. I got a long list of people that need to talk to you. So I'm gonna make sure that we connect you with people in our network as well, who I know would love to talk with you about that, man. I've really enjoyed this conversation, Steve. It's been great. It's nice to, like I said earlier, it's nice to talk to a fellow Bulldog, which is fantastic. Excited for the season. I think they're going to have a good year. I think people are sleeping on them a little bit. So I think that quarterback is way better than people think. So
I think the Tennessee game woke people up a little bit on that one for sure.
100% it did. That was a great game. So yeah, man. excited. I'm super glad to have met you and to get some time to talk with you. Like I said, I am going to be sending some people your way and connecting you with them and getting them on your show. And I'm excited for the launch of that, man. Are you guys going to do video of the podcast, or is it just audio?
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube and then Spotify and Apple. Yeah.
Yes. Great. I was about to plug all three of those things for our show. Those of you who are watching the live stream on our social media accounts, we appreciate you guys watching it live. If you're watching the recorded version after the fact on YouTube or Facebook, or you're listening on Apple or Spotify, we appreciate you guys doing that as well. I always say this, I want to make sure you guys leave us a thumb or a star or a like. All those things are helpful for us to get the show out to more people, and follow the show. Subscribe to Leduc Entertainment, and we'll have more episodes later this week. I'll be back with my stupid face. I had to shave my beard off for something recently, and I feel weird with my naked face, but beard will be back soon. But thank you guys for tuning in. Steve, thank you again for giving me some time today, and I will talk to you more. I know I will. I'm going to be in touch with you about some more stuff that we might be able to do together. So it's been great to connect, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more episodes of Partnership for Profits. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.